Ahoy everybody, welcome back to my YouTube channel. I'm gonna clear up things right away with the thumbnail. I think it's a little clickbaity because I'm not actually combative, but I've been working on my problems with women, and this is more of a part 2 to my confession 3. This is gonna be a surprise video because I did not advertise this one bit, but we're gonna talk about my issues with women and my love-hate relationship with them. Yeah, and I hope along with this video and my confession 3, and I think 1, if that even talks about my personality, that people look at me like MCU Tony Stark and not like your average Reddit neckbeard that has a problem with women just because you got rejected. Oops, my mic cut out. So back to what I was saying. Other than the fact that my background's like a chalkboard instead of like a color, I'm gonna try actually dividing my issues with women into multiple categories, so we're gonna try getting into that. Okay, from section 1. I hope everybody could have read that. I made sure that you had plenty of time to actually read it. Maybe you can just pause the video and read it, but I'm just going to tell everybody, I don't think people know how badly I actually grew up. I think everybody around me thought I had a great time, but nope, I came out the other side with a lot of issues. And my issues with women actually stem from a lot of things. From my stepmom to her daughter to a lot of pretentious people that said you don't hit girls, which I think is the dumbest thing in the world because my hands are E for everybody. And I always think about how narcissistic nearly every woman I met back in the day was. My first girlfriend was an exception. I think one teacher at my school was an exception. And I think about it, like the first third of my life, yeah, I don't think really many women were even exceptions to the rule that all women are narcissistic, freaking, I guess, in a childlike way, evil. They're just more privileged than me. Because I remember as a kid, I always I remember talking to somebody, and I was like, what do you mean I can't hit a woman? They're like, you hit a woman, and all of a sudden a dude beats you up. I'm like, bro, that's stupid. I even knew that was stupid as a kid. Like, who cares? We're both humans. It do not matter. And I just think about, like, I've met these, like, technically the women I was around in my household for the first 8 years was not good. Because I had one woman who was a whore, who was my stepmother. She, at the time, didn't really sleep around, but she slept around a lot more when she divorced my dad. But she raised us to be, I guess, off. I don't remember much, but I'm thinking about what she did to me in particular. She emotionally abused me. She called me stupid. She tried giving me speech therapy when I spoke perfectly fine. She thought I was in the same level as Speds, but every time I met disabled kids at school, we'd always get into fist fights. And she'd always blame me for things that I didn't even do, or even when I did do things, she kind of overblew it. She didn't love me once in my life, even though she said so. She wasn't there for me emotionally. Maybe. Just wasn't that fun time growing up. And then there was her daughter, who shall not be named, but she was a piece of crap. Like, morally the worst person you could ever meet. Remember, she used to torture small animals, which I don't know how you out-psycho me, but it happens. She's also a piece of crap, especially when she was a kid. She used to snitch on us a lot. She was just like her mom. She literally was narcissistic, antisocial, sociopathic, had no care for anybody in the world. And she sniffed a blanket, which I think is kind of weird. And all the other women I think I met in my life were either just rude, masculine, tried acting like they were dudes. They got that toxic masculinity crap to them. Just didn't help at all. Like, most women I saw, even I think my stepmom, her sister and her daughter were both pieces of garbage. Because one of them, my stepmom's freaking sister, would always yell at her kids and yell at me. And I'm like, what are you yelling at me, dum-dum? Why don't you lose some weight, dum-dum? And then her daughter was a freaking weirdo, because it's kind of like that neighborhood kids meme. That's kind of how she was. And you could tell even from earlier in my life, I never really met any good women. Maybe, like I just said, actually, I don't think I said that in this take, but there was 2 women I think that were exceptions. there was like this one first grade teacher who was my math teacher. She was actually cool. And my first girlfriend, who will not be named, but she was actually a really kind woman. But after a bit, we broke up due to the fact that I was moving somewhere, and I never really saw any positive role models for women on television. All you see is just these things. They treat themselves like objects. It's not even like fun to talk about, but you can tell even throughout my whole life, even when I moved somewhere, I still met pretentious women. Feminism came up, only pretentious women. You never saw good women. I never saw good women. They were all pieces of garbage. They were all narcissistic too. They literally treated men like they were inferior. Like, yeah, try throwing hands with me, bud. I'll shove your head into a locker and stomp your teeth in. Get like them curbs with razor blades between each gap in their teeth. But yeah, I basically hated women for a really long time, and I just was very mad at them. Even though I still was sexually into women because I am straight, I still have issues with women. But now it's a lot more subdued because I am more mature. But back in the day, I just didn't have that well of an understanding of women that they just randomly become aggressive, and I'd have to use my freaking fists. Yeah. Most women I've met in my life were subhuman pieces of garbage. I barely met any women that were actually, positive towards me. I think so far there's like maybe 3 women nowadays that had a positive influence on me. There was that one first grade teacher, or I guess math teacher from Burlington. There's Anne, and then there's actually, Jerry's a good positive thing on there. She smokes though, but yeah. And that's kind of it. Not many women really have a positive view on me, or I have not really much of a positive view on them. There are some women nowadays that are actually breaking away from the feminist mold, and of course calling out their bullcrap like, no, you guys are sexist retards. But let's go to the second section. And to finish off from last section and to go into this new section, I always think about, like, how unempathetic are women? Like, you laugh when a dude gets kicked in the balls, but if I kicked you in the boob or the uterus, you'd be on the ground crying, and I'd be like, haha, gotcha. But to actually get on with the next section, I actually love women very much, which goes into the other half of my love-hate relationship with them. I think in my own head, like, when I sit down and think about motherly women, I sometimes get very emotional because I never really had a mom in my life. And I was thinking, when I ever get married and I have children, I would want my wife to be very loving. Because with Anne, and I think a couple other women to a very small degree, that when I have that motherly energy, I get a lot more attached to women. To those women in particular. And I think, could I have been such a bad guy with like a motherly touch? Like, I think if I had a mom who cared about me, who was my actual mom, I probably would have grown up to be a much mentally healthier individual. Wouldn't have been this man, just 6'1" man who has weight problems and a very high sex drive. I just need more time with women. I try understanding them, and unlike feminists, I actually try to sympathize with women. That they have issues too, and it's not just me. Even after all this time, after I stopped being depressed and I look back on myself, I don't know if it was just me or those women that were so mean to me back then just left that much of an imprint that I was just so scorned by it. And I think, is that how feminists are, or are they so privileged they want to be oppressed? And I think about other things like, I'm not even 100% that certain. I think I probably need to dive more into what exactly makes me tick against and for women, because I just have more of a complicated complex with them. And to think about it, like, you see, like, people talking about about pushing up these gay dudes, but I always wonder, why do people never seem to understand that gay dudes literally are the most anti-woman people you would ever see? Like, women, I think from a mating perspective on how they're supposed to be, because men are big and strong and women are great looking and sexy. And when a gay dude basically looks at them and gets repulsed, I find that's the most misogynistic thing you could think of. I'm pretty sure I can continue this part of why I don't like Islam video, but I think that is actually horrendous. I actually like to admire a woman's beauty, femininity, and softness to her. Women have softer skin than men, and I like that. Like, when will we have a day where women will be feminine and motherly again? You just see that the majority of women either have a body count more than the kids at Columbine, and you got them having more STDs than a freaking book that talks about them. You just have all these women that are miserable, 50 years old, single. You also have other women who are feminists who hate men for literally no reason other than the media told them to. And I'm just wondering, I'm getting my way out of this bad loop. When are they gonna get out? When will they learn about how to be a little more mature, you know? But I'm gonna try going to the third section and try cutting this video a little shorter than I expect, but I'm having it to a decent length, so when people say this video is, I guess, sexist, and people actually watch and go, wow, this guy's a retard for trying to say that. And the properly analyzed for the third section, a lot of men and people in general think that women can literally do no wrong. Like, women cannot physically or mentally be evil, and I'm like, that is extremely stupid. Which also goes along with the oddity of thinking that men are these untouchable beings, when I'm pretty sure I used to cry myself to sleep for 10 years in a row because I was depressed. But yeah, I can also get the crap kicked out of me. I can physically be blown in half by a tank. I can't even go to a Target women's restroom because I think there's going to be a tranny there going to friggin' rip me in half like the Hulk. Like, men are not invincible and women can be evil. It is literally in human nature somewhere, I think. Actually, I think I might have said the wrong point, but you get it. Like, women can be evil. They can have these thoughts. They can be maliceful. They can be very aggressive. And I think it goes to the overall issues about how people treat women. Like, they treat them like they're these goddesses, these princesses, that they should always be pushed up, when you're unintentionally making narcissists and making sociopathic women that have no care beyond themselves. They always like to think, oh, what about me? Like, they think, what can this in this situation benefit me? Because you have this stupid crap like Believe All Women and Me Too, where women can basically say, hey, this guy raped me with no proof, and that dude gets life in prison. Why can't she get life in prison for even having the nerve to accuse somebody? Why can't, when a man is found not guilty, that his reputation be restored and that she is in jail for life? Why didn't they put Amber Heard in prison for 30 years? That would be perfect. She could be behind bars crying to herself in her sleep, realizing that everybody knows that she crapped the bed because she doesn't know how toilets work. But people are still with this mindset. It made sense in the 50s because people were dumber in the 50s. Because you know why? I don't know why. I'm pretty sure there's a lot, I think, of it. But honestly, people have this skewed idea that just these women are perfect. Like, no, I've seen way more crap women than nice ones. And to slow down a bit, when they compare, like, saying that men are pussies for being scared of women, yeah, I've been scared of women a lot. Ever since, like, the age of 1 to the age of 20, I'm still intimidated by women. Even though I could probably take a lot of them in a fight, physically and skill-wise, I'm still petrified of some women. Some women might go to the gym and be roided out. Some women might literally be crazy and cut my skin off. There's even women that can probably get my dad against me because he's also under this dumb mindset that women are perfect. Like, no. Dad, just because you were raised by one woman doesn't mean that's all women. You picked 2 pieces of garbage and kept going with it. That is your fault, that you had this ignorant mindset. And I think about that, and you have women, and then you got men that enable these women, and that's kind of just the circular part of my issue. It even reminds me of that one story where a dude ended up slapping a woman for the fact that she literally killed a swan and her eggs, and a bunch of virgins just threw them into the water. Like, bro, she ain't gonna get with you. Like, get with the program. Stick to reality. Like, you just got all these ignorant and dumb people keep going with this stupid mindset that's been, like, crapped out since the 50s. It is just disappointing to hear about. And just to think about it, like, you have these women that are straight up evil, and everybody just gives them a pass because they're a woman. Feminism has made it, actually early feminism technically, like 2013 to 2017, I think, where you got them literally wanting to put women on top and men on bottom. Men are not second-class citizens, bud. Yeah, excuse me, my brother walked in while I was having a rant. Yeah, you got all this early feminism crap that literally had it where men are like second class citizens when we literally built society. Like, women, literally, now, modern women have no, like, they're not grateful for anything. They live in a house with a man when the man built the freaking house. Like, why can't you be grateful for that? Men fight in wars so you can literally be safe. Men are police officers, again, so you can be safe. Most men are doctors, so your life can be saved. Most men are firefighters because women can't break down a door for nothing when I can literally tackle my body into the door like I'm copper and break that thing down in like 5 seconds. Like, it is just a travesty about how ungrateful women are, too. And I'm going to go into the fourth section, which is going to actually be like a little pattern, since section 1 and 3 are going to be about why I don't like women, and 2 and 4 are going to be about how I love women. So let's get to that. And about feminism, because in section 3, when I split it in half from early feminism and now to late feminism, which is 2017 to I guess late 2017 to 2022, people I think would notice about one particular thing about the feminist movement now. It is no longer about women anymore. It is about literally delusion. They are now trying to erase women from the conversation. They say anybody can menstruate. They put trainees in front of the movement. They have people who belong in padded rooms in front of the movement. You got non-binary, 50,000 genders, and they're literally like propagating crime and just making very, very dumb points. Because when Roe v. Wade was overturned, which I'm glad it did because it kind of proved that Satanism can lose. But a bunch of women freaked out, and they're like, this is an attack on women's rights, and all you need to ask them is, what about, trans women? Because, they're basically men. And then they're basically going to go on a blink. You ask them, which genders are affected by it? How many genders are there? What is a woman? And they basically start spittering out like a broken car. Outside of that, they're even trying to call them birthing persons, which personally offended me because I actually like the idea of motherhood in women. I actually find that quite beautiful, and that they're trying to strip that away literally pisses me off. They're calling them birthing people in chest milk. I would at least think if you're trying to call it, like, I guess, non-gendered, you call it human milk. Wait, they did say that, never mind. But other than that, that is just reprehensible. I mean, I'm gonna freaking stutter in anger. But you have all of this, and not many women are seeing it. Like, you need to understand what's happening. If I just really feel like they're trying to replace women with men. It's like the feminist movement is against itself no matter what. It's like an octopus strangling itself with all 8 of its legs, and each of those legs at the elbow are strangling each other. Basically is a broken octagon. Because it is an octagon at this point. They're all throwing hands at each other. They're throwing hands at men. We jump into the crowd. They start throwing hands at each other. They might accidentally slap us through this freaking ring, but outside of that, they're mostly attacking each other. And to explain that, I try at least giving women a pass because they're emotional, they're dumb, and they're very misguided a lot of times. They're very, I guess some are very naive. I'm trying to think about the third word. But they're trying to break up the nuclear family too, which is a straight up detriment to women too, because their mental health and their biological health are going to go straight under. when you have all these women doing these things and trying to fit to this ever-changing movement, it's like that one Mad segment where these people were playing hole in the wall and it was random Chinese letters. Like, how do you fit in there? You had to basically just cut yourself up to fit in that word. It is like a whole different story with some of these people, and I just think that's really sad. Like, with marriage and men and women, when you're married, you can actually counter each other's negatives with each other's positives, because I guess some men are competitive, but I'm actually a pretty feminine man, so I can't even 100% go on this, but men are pretty competitive, I guess aggressive, and something else, because I don't really have any of that, as I am kind of feminine. I have no competition in my spirit. But with women, they're actually very stupid. They're not that smart compared to men. They're also very emotional, irrational. They're also very impulsive. And with men there, all these women don't make these impulsive decisions like joining an MLM or being a feminist or just doing anything stupid like accidentally cut off their own boobs and blow themselves up in a chair. Like, we honestly need each other, and when the whole public realizes that, then we'll have a better society. And I always think about them society memes like, that includes you too, right, bud? But we're gonna finish this off. We're gonna finish this video off with a little message at the end. I'd love to thank everybody here. I'd love to thank all the people who subscribed to my channel, actually gave my channel a chance. And for people who, I guess, hate me or hate watch me, I at least thank you for the tolerance of watching my whole video. And I'm really hoping that my channel can go places in the future. I'm going to try being more consistent, that I can upload videos for you guys. Make sure to comment if you want to see any type of video except for pornographic ones, because that's weird. And I want to tell everybody have a great day, like I usually say in my descriptions. Make sure to read those if you're confused on what's happening in the video. But